The infinity edge cut through the void of space. Captain Zane Phoenix stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the star-studded blackness ahead. The mission was groundbreaking, to harness energy directly from the singularity of a black hole, a feat that would, if successful, revolutionize energy consumption for centuries to come. First Officer Alara Moon, with her sharp features set in concentration, reviewed the ship's course alongside Navigator Kai Storm. Their destination, a black hole known as the Singularity's core, loomed large on the main screen, its dark heart swallowing light whole. Approach vector confirmed, Captain. We're on the edge of history, Kai announced, his voice steady. Captain Phoenix nodded, a slight smile playing on his lips. Let's make sure we're not just a footnote in its vast history, Navigator. Chief Engineer Cade Draven monitored the ship's engines and energy levels from his station. The machinery hummed in the background, a constant reminder of the fine line they tread between groundbreaking success and catastrophic failure. Engines at full capacity, Captain. We're as ready as we'll ever be, he said. Science Officer Iris Vale, surrounded by her monitors displaying data on the black hole's properties, felt a thrill of excitement mixed with a touch of fear. The singularity before them was a mystery wrapped in an enigma, and she was here to unravel it. The readings are unlike anything we've seen before. We're not just looking into a black hole. We're staring into the abyss itself, she mused aloud, her eyes reflecting the swirling darkness of their target. Communications Officer Nova Rain prepared to document their journey, ensuring that every moment of this historic mission was captured and relayed back to Earth. Setting up a live feed. All channels are open, Captain. The world's eyes are upon us. Tactical Officer Lyra Blaze kept a vigilant watch on the ship's defensive systems. While the mission was scientific in nature, the unknown posed a myriad of potential threats. Defenses are primed. Whatever lies within that darkness, we'll be ready, she declared. The banter among the crew, though sparse, served as a testament to their camaraderie and mutual respect. They were pioneers on the edge of the unknown, each aware of the dangers they faced, yet driven by a shared vision of discovery. As the infinity edge drew closer to the singularity's core, the light from distant stars bent around the black hole, creating a mesmerizing halo of twisted light and shadow. It was a sight few had ever witnessed, and fewer still would dare to approach as closely as they intended. Prepare for energy harnessing operations, Captain Phoenix ordered, his voice cutting through the awe-inspiring silence that had fallen over the crew. Iris, Cade, let's ensure we understand the parameters. We're not just here to witness this marvel, we're here to make it our legacy. The crew moved into action, each member performing their duties with practiced ease. The infinity edge, a beacon of human ambition, edged ever closer to the abyss, unaware of the eyes that watched from within the darkness, eyes that had seen the birth of stars and the death of galaxies, eyes that did not welcome the intrusion. As they maneuvered into position, the black hole's gravitational pull grew stronger, a silent reminder of the power they sought to harness. The ship's engines strained against the invisible force. "Steady," Captain Phoenix whispered, more to himself than to his crew. "We're treading where no one has before. Let's show them what we're made of." Vale's monitors buzzed with data, the black hole's readings painting a picture of chaos and order intertwined. "The gravitational fluctuations are off the charts," she reported, her voice a mixture of fascination and concern. "It's as if the singularity itself is alive, breathing in the fabric of space." Captain Phoenix, standing firm at the helm, kept his gaze on the swirling darkness ahead. "Keep monitoring those fluctuations, Iris. Any pattern you can find could be the key to harnessing its energy safely." As they initiated the energy harnessing operation, a series of anomalies began to manifest. Instruments flickered erratically, and the ship's systems displayed readings that defied explanation. Draven frantically worked to stabilize the ship's core systems. "It's like we're being toyed with," he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. "Systems are reacting to something that isn't supposed to exist." Storm struggled to maintain a stable course, the ship's navigational systems thrown into disarray by the singularity's unpredictable behavior. "Every reference point is constantly shifting," he said. Ilara oversaw the operation with an unshakable calm. "Focus on your tasks, everyone. We knew this wouldn't be easy. We're not just explorers, we're pioneers. Pioneers face the unknown head-on. It was during this tense operation that the unknown made its presence unmistakably known. A massive, shadowy form emerged from the singularity, its size and shape fluctuating as if it were a part of the singularity itself. The crew stared in disbelief as the alien vessel revealed itself, a behemoth compared to their own ship. Nova attempted to establish contact, her usual composure giving way to a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Sending out standard greeting protocols," she announced, her voice echoing slightly in the tense atmosphere of the bridge. No response. It's like they're listening, but choosing not to answer. Lyra immediately went on high alert, her focus shifting to the defense systems. "I don't like this. That ship came out of nowhere, and we have no idea what it's capable of. Captain, I recommend we prepare for any scenario." Captain Phoenix nodded, his eyes never leaving the alien vessel. "Agreed. Lyra, keep our defenses on standby. Iris, Cade, work on getting our systems back under control. This mission just took an unexpected turn, but we're not backing down now. We came here for a purpose, and we will not be deterred by the unknown." The crew's resolve hardened, their tasks clear. Yet, the presence of the alien vessel, silent and imposing, loomed over them like a shadow. The Infinity Edge, once a symbol of human ambition and curiosity, now felt like an intruder in a realm where it was not welcome, a realm that held secrets far beyond human comprehension. As they worked to stabilize their ship and make sense of the situation, the alien vessel began to move closer, its intentions unclear. The crew of the Infinity Edge faced not just the physical challenge of their mission, but the psychological warfare of facing an unknown entity, powerful enough to emerge unscathed from a singularity. The air on the bridge was thick with tension, every crew member acutely aware that they were no longer the only players in this cosmic game. They had sought to harness the energy of the singularity, but in doing so, had they awakened something far beyond their understanding? Captain Phoenix's voice broke the silence, a beacon of determination in the face of the unknown. "This mission is far from over. We'll handle this, just like we've handled everything else. Together, let's show them who we are." The alien vessel's approach was slow, deliberate, and utterly silent, a shadow moving against the backdrop of infinite darkness. Its massive size became even more apparent as it neared, dwarfing the Infinity Edge in both scale and mystery. The crew watched with a mixture of awe and apprehension, the reality of their situation sinking in. They were not alone in the universe, and their uninvited guests were a force to be reckoned with. Captain Phoenix maintained his composure, a steady presence amidst the growing tension. "Nova, any luck with those communications?" Nova, her focus absolute as she attempted to bridge the gap between human and alien. "Nothing yet, Captain. It's like sending signals into a void. They're receiving, but there's no acknowledgement." Ilara stood by the captain, her gaze fixed on the alien ship. "We need to consider the possibility that they may not communicate in ways we understand. Perhaps their silence is a message in itself." Iris Vale, ever the seeker of knowledge, was both exhilarated and unnerved by the encounter. Their technology is beyond us. To emerge from a singularity unscathed implies a mastery of physics that we can't even imagine. Draven monitored the ship's systems, ensuring they remained operational despite the proximity to the alien presence. "All systems stable for now, but I've got a bad feeling about this. It's like we're a mouse under the gaze of an owl." Storm adjusted the ship's position, keeping them at a safe distance from the alien vessel. "I can try to put some more space between us, but if they wanted to close the gap, they could do it in an instant." Lyra remained vigilant, her hand hovering over the console that controlled the ship's defensive capabilities. "We should be prepared for any outcome. If they make a hostile move, we need to be ready to respond." Captain Phoenix nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. "Keep our defenses on standby, Lyra, but let's not make the first move. We're here on a mission of exploration, not conquest. Let's not forget that." The crew fell into a tense silence, each member lost in their thoughts as they contemplated the enormity of the encounter. The alien vessel remained a silent enigma, its intentions hidden behind its impenetrable exterior. As hours turned into days, the standoff continued. The Infinity Edge and the alien ship stood still in the void, a cosmic stalemate between species unknown to each other. The crew's initial apprehension gave way to a grudging acceptance of their situation. They went about their duties, always keeping an eye on the silent observer that hovered just outside. During one of their routine checks, Iris Vale noticed something peculiar in the data. "Captain, the Singularity's energy patterns, they've changed since the alien ship appeared. It's almost like it's reacting to their presence." Captain Phoenix considered her words carefully. Could they be using the Singularity somehow? Harnessing its energy, or communicating through it? "It's possible," Iris replied, her mind racing with the implications. "If we could understand how they're doing it, maybe we could find a way to communicate." The idea sparked a glimmer of hope among the crew. If they could establish communication, perhaps they could resolve this standoff peacefully. With renewed purpose, they set to work, analyzing the Singularity's energy patterns and the alien ship's movements for any clue that could bridge the vast gulf between them. The alien ship's silence was finally broken, but not in the way the crew of the Infinity Edge had hoped. Without warning, the vessel launched a series of calculated strikes, not to destroy, but to disable and disarm. It was as if the alien presence sought to study them, to probe the limits of their resilience and technology. Captain Phoenix watched the display screens, his jaw set in determination. "Status report," he demanded, his voice cutting through the chaos that had erupted on the bridge. Lyra responded, her voice tense but controlled. "Shields are holding, but barely. It's like they know exactly where to hit us to cause maximum disruption without outright destruction." Draven was frantically working to keep the ship's systems online. "They're playing with us," he grunted. "Every time I patch one system, another goes down." Ilara interjected, her analytical mind working overtime. "They're testing our defenses, learning from our responses. We need to be unpredictable, change our tactics." Captain Phoenix nodded in agreement. "Do it. Kai, make erratic maneuvers. Anything to throw them off. Lyra, prepare a volley of countermeasures, but wait for my signal. We won't play into their hands." Storm complied. The ship lurched unpredictably, dodging the relentless barrage from the alien vessel. "Trying to be as random as possible, Captain." Iris Vale, though focused on the Singularity's data, couldn't help but be drawn into the immediate crisis. There might be a pattern to their attacks. If I can isolate it, maybe we can anticipate their next move. Nova, feeling helpless as her attempts to establish contact had been ignored, now focused on internal communications, keeping the crew informed and coordinated. "All channels are open, everyone. Keep the information flowing. We're only as strong as our ability to work together." The crew's efforts to adapt and respond to the aliens' tactics were met with mixed success. Each evasion and countermeasure seemed only to prompt a new strategy from their adversary, a silent but relentless teacher grading their every move. In a brief moment of respite, Captain Phoenix addressed his crew, his voice firm. "This isn't just a battle of technology. It's a battle of wills. We knew the risks when we signed up for this mission. We're on the frontier of human exploration, facing the unknown. This," he gestured to the screens showing the alien ship, "is the unknown. We will not falter." The crew, bolstered by their captain's words, renewed their efforts with a fierce determination. They were pioneers, explorers in the truest sense, and they would meet this challenge as they had all others, together. But as the alien vessel continued its relentless assault, the crew of the Infinity Edge realized they were facing an intelligence that defied their understanding of life in the universe. It was an entity that viewed them not as equals, but as subjects for study, an ancient and advanced consciousness for whom their technology, resilience, and determination presented only a passing curiosity. The ship sustained minor damages, the aliens' intent not to destroy, but to dissect their capabilities. As the hours passed, the realization sank in that they were not in control of this encounter. They were at the mercy of a being, or beings, whose motives were as unfathomable as the dark heart of the singularity they had come to explore. The once unbreakable spirit of exploration now faced the encroaching shadows of isolation and dread. The black hole's menacing presence, combined with the alien ship's inscrutable motives, enveloped the crew in a psychological maelstrom as tempestuous as the physical one outside. Captain Phoenix observed his crew, noting the fatigue etched into their faces, the tension in their movements. He cleared his throat, drawing their attention. We've faced challenges before, but none like this. It's not just our ship they're testing. It's us, our resolve. We can't let fear dictate our actions." Alara nodded, her voice steady. "We've weathered storms, but none so insidious as this. It's wearing us down, making us question ourselves. We must remember why we're here, who we are." The crew's solidarity, however, began to fray under the weight of their isolation. Nova, usually the voice of calm, found herself speaking into the void. Her attempts to reach Earth met with silence, the black hole's distortion rendering their pleas for help unheard. "Captain, I'm getting nothing back. It's like we're shouting into the abyss," Nova reported, her frustration palpable. Draven struggled to maintain the ship's integrity, the constant barrage from the alien ship forcing him to make continuous repairs. "This ship's holding together by sheer will at this point," he muttered, wiping the sweat from his brow. "And duct tape, sir," interjected Greg from the engineering crew as he unwrapped another roll of tape with a wry smile. The crew's resolve was further tested by eerie occurrences aboard the ship. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord. Whispers echoed through the corridors, and systems flickered with no apparent cause. The line between reality and hallucination blurred, with each member of the crew feeling the strain of their isolation and the omnipresent threat just beyond their hull. Captain Phoenix, seeing the growing fear in his crew's eyes, convened a meeting. "We're more than this," he began, his voice firm. "These shadows, these whispers, they're just tricks of the mind. We can't let them divide us. We've come too far, faced too much to falter now." Alara stood by him, her resolve unwavering. "The captain's right. We're not just a crew. We're a family. This thing, whatever it is, wants to isolate us, to make us feel alone. But we're not alone. We have each other." Tension on the Infinity Edge had been high for days, but it finally reached a breaking point when the alien vessel struck. The hit was brutal, tearing through the ship's hull with a force that left everyone reeling. In an instant, the stark reality of their situation became painfully clear. Alarms screamed through the corridors, and in the chaos, some crew members were sucked into the void. The rest of the team, hearts pounding, scrambled desperately to respond, racing against time to seal the breach and fight off the terrifying threat of decompression. Draven barked orders over the din of alarms. "Seal off the breach sections. I need damage reports now." His team moved with practiced efficiency, but the fear in their eyes was unmistakable. The breach had made the alien threat tangibly real, a predator that had finally drawn blood. Greg looked at the gaping hole in the hull, shaking his head. "I don't think even duct tape will fix that, sir," he said. Captain Phoenix maintained his composure, rallying his crew. "Lyra, status on our defenses. Can we prevent another breach?" Lyra responded, her voice tight with frustration. "Our defenses are stretched thin, Captain. I'll reroute power to reinforce the shields, but if they hit us like that again, I can't guarantee we'll hold." Alara coordinated the emergency response, her voice a steady beacon amidst the chaos. "Cade, we need those repairs done yesterday. Nova, try to send out a distress signal, anything that might get through. Kai, keep us as stable as you can." As the crew fought to save their ship, an alien entity infiltrated the Infinity Edge through the breach. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a nightmare made manifest. Its form shifted and pulsed with a grotesque life of its own, defying the laws of physics and biology. Iris Vale, her fascination with the unknown turning into horror, whispered, "What is that thing?" Her instruments were useless against it, the readings fluctuating wildly as if the creature itself disrupted the very fabric of reality. Nova, struggling to maintain her composure, attempted to broadcast a distress signal, her voice barely concealing her panic. "This is the Infinity Edge. We are under attack by an unknown entity. We require immediate assistance." But deep down, she knew the likelihood of their message penetrating the Singularity's interference was slim. Storm did his best to keep the ship steady, but the presence of the alien entity seemed to warp the space around it, making his job nearly impossible. "I can't get a read on our position. It's like we're not just fighting this thing, but the universe itself." The crew made a valiant stand against the intruder, employing whatever means they had at their disposal. Lyra Blaze, ever the fighter, led the defense, her voice echoing through the corridors. Use whatever you can. This thing might be beyond our understanding, but it's not invincible. The battle that ensued was chaotic and terrifying. The entity twisted and contorted, its form an ever-changing horror that seemed to mock their efforts to combat it. Every time they thought they had it cornered, it would dissolve into a mist, only to reform and strike from another angle. Captain Phoenix, seeing his crew's efforts faltering, made a difficult decision. Fall back, regroup and find another way to fight this thing. The retreat was a bitter pill to swallow, the crew's morale sinking as they realized the full extent of their powerlessness against the alien menace. The ship, their sanctuary and strength in the vastness of space, had been violated, its corridors now stalked by an entity beyond their comprehension. In the aftermath of the battle, the crew regrouped, their faces a mix of fear, determination, and exhaustion. Captain Phoenix addressed them, his voice firm yet compassionate. We knew exploring the unknown would be dangerous, but this, he gestured to the damaged sections of the ship, is more than we bargained for. We're not just exploring. We're fighting for our lives. We need to stick together, use our heads, and find a way through this. We've faced the unknown before. We can do it again. As the Infinity Edge was inexorably pulled closer to the singularity, the alien entity's presence within the ship intensified the already palpable sense of doom. The gravitational forces at play distorted not just the space around them, but the very fabric of their reality. The crew, once masters of their domain, now found themselves at the mercy of incomprehensible forces, both from within and without. Captain Phoenix, his voice a constant in the growing storm, called for an emergency meeting. We need a plan that accounts for our guest and our current trajectory towards the singularity. Ideas, now. Ilara, her analytical mind racing against their dire circumstances, responded, We could try to use the singularities against them. If we can't fight it directly, maybe we can try something more drastic. Captain Phoenix replied, You mean ram it? Ilara nodded. Draven, his hands permanently stained with the grease and grime of endless repairs, added, The engines are barely holding as is. Any drastic maneuvers near the singularity could tear us apart. Iris Vale, her eyes haunted by the data streaming in, offered a glimmer of hope. The singularity's energy patterns have been erratic since the entity boarded us. If I can decipher the pattern, maybe it could give us an edge. Storm, tasked with the impossible, managed a grim smile. I've been navigating on a wing and a prayer since we got here. What's one more leap of faith? Nova, her voice the only link between them and the silence of space, interjected, And if by some miracle we get a message out, who's to say help would arrive in time? We're on our own. Lyra, ever the warrior, clenched her fists. Then we fight on our terms. I say we strike. The crew's resolve hardened, their course set. They would use the Infinity as a spear against the alien ship. The plan was desperate, a Hail Mary in the face of overwhelming odds, but it was all they had. As they set their plan into motion, the ship creaked and groaned under the stress of the singularity's pull. The corridors, once familiar and safe, now seemed to twist and stretch in impossible ways, the ship's architecture no longer adhering to the laws of physics. Captain Phoenix, navigating through the shifting hallways, found himself alongside Iris Vale. "You're sure about this?" he asked, his voice low. Iris, her gaze fixed on her datapad, nodded. "As sure as I can be in a situation that defies certainty. We play the hand we're dealt." The ship's engines, pushed to their limits by Draven, Greg, and the rest of their team, emitted a low, ominous hum. "She's holding together, for now," Draven reported, though his voice carried an undercurrent of doubt. Greg reassured him, "She'll hold, sir." The alien entity, sensing perhaps the crew's intentions, intensified its assaults. It no longer merely skulked in the shadows, but attacked with a ferocity that suggested desperation or anger. Or both. Lyra Blaze, leading a contingent of crew members armed with improvised weapons, faced the entity head-on. "This is our ship, our home. You want it? You go through us," she shouted, defiance in her voice as they engaged the creature, buying time for the rest of the crew to execute their plan. Storm, his hands steady at the navigation console, whispered to himself, "Let's dance with the stars, then." He executed the maneuvers that would bring them dangerously close to the alien ship, using its gravitational anomalies to their advantage. Nova, broadcasting their plight on all frequencies, left a message not just as a call for help, but as a record of their journey, their bravery, and their defiance in the face of the unknown. This is the Infinity Edge. If you're hearing this, remember us. In this moment, on the brink of oblivion, they were more than just a crew. They were the embodiment of humanity's unyielding spirit, a testament to the power of hope in the face of the cosmic unknown. Captain Phoenix, his voice a steady beacon amidst the tempest, addressed his crew. "This is it. We've been pushed, prodded, and hunted. Now, we push back. We do this together, as one. Prepare for the final maneuver." Alara, always the captain's unshakable counterpart, took charge of coordinating the crew's efforts. "Cade, ensure the engines don't give out on us now. Iris, I need those calculations. Kai, you're our dance partner with the stars. Lyra, Nova, keep that thing at bay. We only need to hold out a little longer." Draven, surrounded by the hum and whir of the ship's overworked systems, nodded grimly. "She's held together by hope and stubbornness, but I'll make sure she holds a bit longer. We're not going down without a fight." As he said this, Greg, busy fixing something under a console, raised a single roll of duct tape into view. Both men couldn't help but chuckle at the sight, a small moment of levity amidst the chaos. Iris Vale, her eyes locked on her screens, fed data to Storm. "The energy flux should peak any moment now. That's our window. Kai, you'll have to time it perfectly." Kai, hands steady despite the stakes, offered a wry smile. "Perfect timing. No pressure, then." His focus was absolute, the ship responding to his every command as if it too understood the gravity of their situation. Lyra, leading the defense against the entity's onslaught, rallied her team. "We're the line in the sand. It doesn't get past us. Remember, we're fighting for every soul on this ship." Nova, her voice a lifeline to hope, broadcasted their defiance into the void. "To anyone who finds this, know that we stood our ground. We fought with everything we had." The crew's resolve crystallized into action as the Singularity's energy surged. The Infinity Edge, propelled by the last reserves of its engines, executed a daring maneuver designed by Iris. The ship skirted the event horizon, the point of no return, using the gravitational slingshot to amplify its speed and possible collision damage. The ship shuddered under the strain, the very metal groaning in protest. Draven, watching the stress indicator spike, muttered under his breath, "Hold together, you stubborn beast. Just a bit longer." The alien entity, sensing perhaps the imminent threat from the Infinity, intensified its assault, its form shifting and twisting in rage or fear. Lyra Blaze, amidst the chaos, found a moment of clarity. This is for every soul aboard, for humanity. Her team unleashed their full arsenal, a barrage designed not to kill, but to distract, to delay. As their speed around the singularities reached its peak, Storm piloted the Infinity Edge in a tight arc, the gravitational forces tugging at the very essence of their being. Time seemed to dilate, the universe holding its breath. Then, with a force unlike anything they'd ever experienced, the Infinity Edge hurtled toward the alien vessel. Just before impact, Greg shouted, "Ramming speed!" The collision was cataclysmic, shaking the fabric of space itself. For a brief, surreal moment, everything, metal, crew, and all, seemed to hang in a frozen stillness. Then, in an explosion of chaos, parts and debris flew everywhere as the two ships violently collided. The creature's scream, an unearthly sound beyond hearing, reverberated through the ship in its final moment of existence. Outside, its vessel crumpled under the immense force, collapsing in on itself. In a twisted way, this saved the Infinity Edge from meeting its own end right there. While alarms blared, but also in the silence that followed, the crew of the Infinity Edge dared to hope. The alien entity, the source of so much fear and suffering, was gone, dissipated by the powerful forces it had sought to command. As Captain Phoenix got up, looking around at his crew, saw the cost of their victory in their weary faces. "We've done it," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Against all odds, we've prevailed. But their celebration was short-lived. The maneuver had taken its toll on the ship, and the Singularity's pull was now a maw, threatening to consume them. The crew faced a new reality. Their fight for survival was not yet over. The ship, already on the brink of structural failure from the stresses of the maneuver, now drifted perilously close to the Singularity's event horizon. Each system failure, each alarm, hammered home the precariousness of their existence. Captain Phoenix surveyed the damage reports flooding in, his crew's faces bathed in the eerie glow of red emergency lighting. "Status," he commanded, his voice a beacon of calm amidst the chaos. He then turned to Greg and with a hint of a smile said, "Ramming speed, huh? I need to remember that one for next time." Greg, slumped against a console and wounded from the impact, managed a weak smile and gave the captain a thumbs up. Alara, her face a mask of determination, responded, "Hull integrity is compromised into many sections to count. Life support backups are on their backups, and navigation it's barely functional." Draven, smeared with grease and sweat, added, "The main engines are shot. I can give you impulse power, maybe a bit more, but without a full dockyard overhaul, she's not going to give us much." Storm, his eyes glued to the flickering screens before him, shook his head. "I can try to plot a course out of the Singularity's pull, but it's like trying to thread a needle with boxing gloves on." Iris Vale, still poring over the data from their encounter with the entity, looked up. "There may be residual energy patterns we can exploit. It's a long shot, but it might just give us the push we need." Lyra, ever vigilant, stood ready at her station. "And I'll keep an eye out for any more surprises. That thing might have friends. Although we don't have any weapons left, we barely have half a ship here." Nova, her voice weary but unwavering, reported, "I've been broadcasting our situation on all frequencies. No response yet, but I'll keep trying." Captain Phoenix nodded, absorbing the direness of their predicament. "All right, Cade, squeeze every bit of power you can from the engines. Kai, work with Iris on those energy patterns. Maybe there's a slingshot effect we can use. Nova, keep trying to reach out. Help might come from the most unexpected quarters." The crew set to work, a well-oiled machine driven by a single purpose: survival. As they labored, the ship creaked ominously, a constant reminder of the threat posed by the Singularity's relentless grasp. In a quiet moment amidst the chaos, Alara approached the captain. "We've been through a lot, haven't we?" she mused, a rare hint of vulnerability in her voice. Captain Phoenix allowed himself a small smile. "That we have, Alara. That we have. Whatever happens next, I couldn't have asked for a better crew to face the unknown with." The crew's efforts to stabilize the ship and escape the Singularity's pull were met with mixed success. The engines, coaxed back to life by Cade and Greg's expert hands, provided just enough thrust to give them hope. Kai and Iris, working in tandem, identified a potential energy surge from the Singularity that could propel them to safety. As they prepared for the maneuver, the ship was rocked by a sudden violent tremor. Alarms blared anew, and the crew braced themselves against their stations. Lyra immediately sprang into action. "Damage report. Are we under attack again?" Draven's voice came over the comm, strained but clear. "No, it's the hull. We've got new fractures. She's coming apart at the seams." Captain Phoenix, his resolve steeling, addressed his crew. "This is it. Our window is closing. Kai, Iris, it's now or never. Everyone else, prepare for emergency maneuvers. We're going to ride this wave out of here, or die trying." The crew, their faces set in grim determination, readied themselves. Kai input the course, Iris monitored the energy patterns, and Cade pushed the engines beyond their limits. The ship groaned, metal screeching as it was stretched and compressed by the gravitational forces. Inside, the crew held their breath, their fate hanging in the balance. Captain Phoenix, his hands gripping the edges of the command console, glanced at his crew, his voice unwavering. "This is it. All or nothing. I've never been prouder to stand with any crew. Let's show this alien and Singularity what we're made of." Alara, standing by his side, nodded, her eyes reflecting the resolve that had carried them this far. Draven, from his post in engineering, interjected over the comm. "Engines are at full burn, Captain. She's holding together. Barely. Let's not make a habit of this, eh?" Storm, plotting their desperate escape vector, managed a tight grin. Just another day at the office, right? Iris Vale, monitoring the Singularity's energy fluctuations, chimed in. Energy patterns are aligning. This is our shot. We're in the hands of the cosmos now. Lyra, ever vigilant, kept her focus on the ship's defenses, ready for any last surprises. If that thing has any friends, they better think twice. They won't be taking this ship down. The ship surged forward, propelled by the Singularity's energy wave, a maneuver that was as much a gamble as it was their only chance for survival. The hull vibrated with the strain, the sound a constant reminder of the thin line between salvation and oblivion. As they neared the event horizon, the point of no return, the fabric of space seemed to warp around them, reality bending under the Singularity's immense gravitational pull. Time itself felt elastic, stretching and compressing in a maddening dance. Captain Phoenix, eyes locked on the view screen, spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. Hold on, everyone. We're about to make history. Then, almost as if speaking to an old friend, he added softly, Infinity, you really know how to keep us all on edge. Alara, her hand finding Phoenix's, squeezed tightly. Together, she murmured. The tension was palpable as the Infinity Edge rode the gravitational wave, the Singularity's energy coursing through the ship like a living thing. For a moment, suspended between being and nothingness, they glimpsed the universe in all its unfathomable beauty and terror. Then, with a burst of light that outshone the stars themselves, the Infinity Edge broke free from the Singularity's grip, hurtling into the unknown. The ship, for a moment, seemed to hang in the balance, teetering on the edge of existence. And then, silence. The engines quieted, the alarm ceased, and the crew found themselves adrift in the vast, silent expanse of space, the Singularity a receding nightmare in the distance. They had done it. Against all odds, they had escaped the gravitational maw of the Singularity. But the cost was written on the faces of the crew, in the scars that marked the Infinity Edge. Captain Phoenix turned to his crew, his eyes sweeping over each of them. We made it, thanks to every one of you. We've faced the abyss and returned to tell the tale. Just as Captain Phoenix finished speaking, a second alien ship emerged from the Singularity, larger and more menacing than the first. Alara's, eyes wide with determination, turned to the captain. Looks like they want to go for round 2, Captain, she said. In the heavy silence that followed, a new resolve took root among the crew. Then Storm turned what was left of the ship to face the new threat head-on. And the captain, almost to himself, muttered, Ramming speed. Nova, broadcasting their final message, her voice a beacon of defiance in the void, said, To anyone who finds this, know the Infinity Edge fought to the very end. We stand united, in the face of darkness. When help finally arrived, fragments of the Infinity Edge and multiple alien ships were found scattered in space. There were no survivors on either side, however. The legend of the Infinity Edge would live on forever. The ship that had stared into the abyss and fought back would forever journey on in the hearts and minds of those who heard its tale. Its crew, united by an unbreakable bond forged in the heart of darkness, would be remembered as heroes, their spirit enduring even beyond death. No alien craft ever dared to come through the Singularity again.